Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nicole Phillips, and this is officially episode 1 of the Name One Player podcast. That is kind of crazy to say out loud. I am officially podcast girl now, which is crazy but fun. For anyone who knows me, you know that I love to chit chat. I really don't shut the hell up. So I won't pretend that the idea of a podcast is a new idea. I've always wanted to make a podcast. Because again, I love to chat. You get a microphone in front of me? Do not tell me that does not sound like the best day ever. I just get to sit here and talk. I love it. But there are a couple reasons why I refrained. The first reason, which looking back, not a good reason, but the first reason why I didn't was honestly just thinking about what other people would say. And as time has gone on, I just had my 29th birthday. As maturity has revealed to me, it literally does not matter at all what other people think. But still, people are haters. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of this podcast. We will get into that further. But people sometimes just aren't very nice. So that held me back for quite some time. And the other thing, which I think is more of an important reason, I just didn't really know what I wanted to talk about. I feel like podcasts, for them, to like really have substance and to really be enjoyable to listen to, you can really tell if the person cares about what they're talking about. And as much as I love to talk, I couldn't really zero in on what I wanted to talk about, what I cared enough to talk about, what I was passionate enough to talk about, what really inspired me, I guess you could say. And we will get into what made me decide on this podcast. Some of you may know the idea behind this, the premise behind this, which I'm excited to get into. So some of you may be listening to this podcast because you're friends of mine. You saw me post about it on like Instagram or something, which love you. Thank you so much. And some of you may be listening from my Twitter account. And some of you may not even be aware that I have a Twitter account. Like, you might be thinking, what the hell are you talking about? So I have had a Minnesota Vikings Twitter account for the last 2 years. I suspect any person who has stumbled across this podcast knows that I love the Minnesota Vikings. But 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, I had nobody to talk to about the Minnesota Vikings. I wanted to talk to people about the Vikings, but nobody that I knew at the time that I was willing to talk to knew about the Vikings. Like we would not be able to have a conversation about the games, what was going on, the players. And I thought, why not go to Twitter? As I say that out loud, I'm just kind of wondering, am I allowed to call it Twitter? I don't even know. No. I'm sure I can call it Twitter. I don't know. Anyways, let's hope Elon's not gonna get his legal team on me. We'll see. I don't know. But I'm calling it Twitter for now. I'm not calling it X. That's stupid. So I made this Twitter account and I loved it. I still do love it. It's fun. I will admit it can be a lot at times. When I first started this Twitter account, I did not use my name. My name on the Twitter account was Crying. The photo was not a photo of myself. It was a photo of Will Smith. And I did this on purpose. I did not want to reveal that I was a woman who was tweeting about sports. And this was mainly because before I actually made this specific Minnesota Vikings Twitter account, I would just go on my regular Twitter and I would see sports accounts, specifically NFL accounts. And there was a noticeable difference between the interactions and the replies that accounts who were run by men and accounts that were run by women. It was a very big difference. And I just didn't want to deal with that. Like, I just wanted to talk about the Vikings. That was it. I just wanted to talk about what was going on. I didn't want to bring my gender into the mix. And I will say, Twitter can be a very toxic place, regardless of who is tweeting. If you're a woman, if you're a man, regardless of whatever gender you identify as, Twitter can be a pretty messed up place. But I found specifically that when women were tweeting about sports, sometimes it got a little bit messy with the replies. And I just didn't want to deal with that at that time. It was a while before I alluded to being a woman. I remember I posted a selfie, and this was like quite a few months into having the account, and like I had interacted with people on there, gained a couple followers, and I remember I found this like sick, it's still to this day one of my favorite shirts. It's in Canada though, I didn't bring it to the UK. This really cool thrifted Minnesota Vikings tie-dye t-shirt, and I was like, damn, I really want to post this on Twitter, but nobody knows that I'm a girl. So I thought about it. I thought about it for a couple days actually before I just went ahead and posted this photo of me, and I will never forget. Thankfully it was positive, but just the interactions of people being like, oh my god, I did not realize that you were a woman. And again, I think from that, nobody meant anything negative by that, but there really is this culture on Twitter specifically, because that is what I have my experience in. Talking about sports is only on Twitter, really. It's mainly men on there who are talking about sports. There's plenty of women, incredible women, but it's definitely a large majority are men. I don't think anybody meant anything bad by it, being like, what? You're a girl? But the reactions definitely fed into what I had already believed about Twitter, and that I just didn't want anything, I just didn't want my gender affecting the legitimacy, I guess, of my opinions, or the way that people received my opinions, viewed my opinions. But again, looking back, doesn't matter. Something to do with my Twitter too is that I try so hard not to take it too seriously. Regardless of gender, that place is crazy. So you really can't take anything too seriously. But I kind of let people know that I was a girl. As people started to follow me more, they sort of knew. Again, I wanted to talk about the Vikings, but I did find once people started to know that I was a woman, the replies to my opinions when I would tweet about players or maybe something a little bit more analytic, the responses were a little bit different. And that was just something I was trying to avoid from the get-go, because that is a reality of the situation, is that women are going to get different responses than men are, even if they say the same thing a lot of the time. But this whole podcast idea started in January, and Jules, who is Not So Cool Jules on Twitter, which, girl, I completely disagree. That's besides the point. A man had taken her photo, didn't even quote tweet, nothing like that, had literally saved her photo, great photo too, by the way, at a hockey game. And this man, let me preface this with saying, this is not funny at all. I laugh at these situations because at this point, what are you gonna do? If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. So this is not funny. Please do not take this as me laughing at this situation, because it's not okay. None of this is okay. But at the same time, it's hilarious. It's not funny, but it's hilarious. So anyways, this man, I'm just laughing because I didn't even realize his username. His username is StarbucksSuck69. So already, just somebody on here who's just looking to just be an idiot, number one. So he saves Jules' photo and tweets it and says, "Girls who look like this," and claims they are into sports, space, period, space, No, they are here to gain followers from men who are desperate and want easy clout. Space period, space. Same with all the other Leaf women. I would like to point out that Jules is not a Maple Leafs fan. So, anyways, this man continues to say, hashtag Leafs forever, at Maple Leafs, LMAFO, laughing my ass. What does that even mean? LMAFO? What? Anyways. Wait, no, I'm actually so confused. I say LMAO, laughing my ass off. Laughing my ass fucking off. Sorry, I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to swear on this podcast yet. Laughing my ass bleep off. I mean, I don't know that I would have placed the F there, but whatever. Maybe it was a typo. He seems to have a couple of them. Anyways, I'm not even done the tweet. Continuing on. Wherever they are men, they are women like this. Incorrect use of there. You should watch that episode of Friends where Ross is explaining the different theirs and theirs. This tweet, again, is not funny, but it's also probably the funniest thing that I've seen on Twitter. Jules, I cannot imagine what she was feeling in this moment. I do not even know what I would do if a man took my photo and then tweeted this. Oh, I haven't even really thought about that. What the hell would I do? She took that photo of herself at the hockey game. Great photo, by the way. Added 3 other photos of her at other sports games. Looking fire, every single one of them. And uses his exact words and says, girls who look like this and claim they are into sports to gain followers from men who are desperate and want easy clout. And I remember opening Twitter this day and seeing quite a few of the female Minnesota Vikings Twitter accounts that I know, them posting, the copy paste, girls who look like this, claim they're into sports, and then 4 incredible photos of themselves. And I was like, what is this? It kind of was flooding my timeline, and I was confused at first, then did a little bit of digging, found Jules's Twitter, and saw the origins of it. And I just thought it was genius. I thought it was absolutely genius. And I added on to it, added some of my favorite photos at Vikings games. And it was just really incredible because the trend just kind of took off. To this day, the tweet has 279 retweets, with 236 of them being quote retweets. And they are mainly of women posting their wonderful photos of them at the sports games of the teams that they love, that they support. And I just loved it. I tried to follow every single woman who involved themselves in this trend. I just thought it was just incredible because it really is such a common thing. Going back to the first photo that I posted on my Minnesota Vikings Twitter account, I was nervous to post it because it really does get twisted. You can post anything. You can post a photo of anything, of yourself. If you are a woman who tweets predominantly about sports and you post a photo of yourself, you're opening yourself up to some pretty messed up comments. And it's not fair. It just makes no sense because I love the Minnesota Vikings. Just honestly, more than anything. I love them so much. But I also love taking cute Instagram photos. I love going to games and wearing that super amazing tie-dye Minnesota Vikings shirt. I like getting fun, unique clothes that support the teams that I like and putting them on and going to the games and taking a photo there because that's a fun thing to do. That doesn't mean that I like the sport any less. It doesn't mean that I know less than a man would know about the sport. Doesn't mean any of that. But for some reason, a percentage of men on Twitter, when they see these photos, decide that that's what it means. And I don't know why those two things cannot coexist. I'm not saying here that every single man does not understand that. That's not what I'm saying at all. The Minnesota Vikings Twitter community in particular, I think is just hilarious. I love it. I think the people that I have met in person too have been so incredible. I formed lifelong friendships with these people, but that is not to say that there's a lot of people on there who make it not really the most enjoyable experience, particularly if you are a woman. And that's just really unfortunate. Like, why? It really sucks, honestly. When I saw this trend, my entire timeline was just women making fun of this man who thought he was slick, who thought he was smart, who thought he was saying something important, and just coming back and turning it into such a positive thing. And the amount of women that I was able to connect with from that tweet, that just so many accounts that I didn't even realize existed, and now their tweets that come up on my timeline are just such incredible quality. These women are so intelligent, these women are so funny, these women are incredible, and I'm so happy that from this trend that could have never even been a trend. It could have just been, Jules could have taken this interaction and let it affect her, but instead she turned it into such a positive thing. And I think that's the most incredible thing. To this day, it's one of my most favorite days on Twitter that I can think of. But again, it really made me think that with how amazing it was to see all of Twitter just taken over by women who love sports, who are passionate about sports, who love sports so much that they went out of their way to make an online account where we openly know that we are running the risk of getting shit on by men who getting told that our opinions are not valid because we are women and because we like sports. It's hard and it sucks, but we love the teams so much that we're willing to do it, which I just think is a really cool thing. With this whole experience, it really did make me realize that as wonderful as Twitter is, and especially when you got the girlies coming through and empowering each other, uplifting each other, unfortunately, there's not really a space where women can openly talk about their love of sports and the sports teams without those few who creep in and just kind of dampen the experience. It's hard to get it without that. With this podcast, how this podcast came to be, because of this trend, I tweeted, low-key think I'm going to make a podcast just straight up interviewing women with sports Twitter accounts and talk about how fun it is to have an opinion on sports while men completely bag on you. And that got significantly more interaction, I guess, than I was expecting. And the replies on there were just so incredible. I was not expecting it at all. Men and women replying back to me saying that this is something that they would really love, that this is something they would definitely listen to, that this is something that we need, that there's not really a space for this right now. It was really cool, and it just made me realize that I had to do it. And it has now been 2 months. I really wasn't sure, kind of how to go about it. But here we are. And I just figured that International Women's Day, which is today, was the best time to go about it. I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be really cool. I have quite a few guests lined up. Because of this trend, I just learned of so many incredible women that I just didn't even know had these accounts. I'm really excited to talk to them, to give them that space to chat openly about their teams that they love, why they love them, what they maybe hate about them, how they're feeling about the seasons, how they're feeling about what may be coming up. Just anything that they want to talk about, I want to give them that space to do it. And I just want to be positive. I just want it to be fun. I just want it to be a place where nobody's going to tweet and be like, well, actually, you don't really know anything because you've never even played football. So how could you understand how it works? And you know what, actually, that's a pretty common one that I get for football. When I say that I enjoy football, it's like, well, how can you know? Because you don't know football because you never played. I will have you know, I did play football, okay? My brother played football and I played for 1 day on his team when I was 10 years old. So do not tell me that I cannot know about football because I did play football, okay? Probably more days than half of you men did anyways, but whatever. That's besides the point. But talking about the name of this podcast, name one player. I got worked up there for a second. This is something that I feel like is a little bit of a universal experience for women who have an interest in sports. It seems to be very common that when you're talking to a man in particular about the team that you like, or it just casually gets brought up that you maybe are going to a game, that you really enjoy the team. Maybe you're wearing a jersey, who knows, whatever. It seems to be a pretty common occurrence. I don't even know. I genuinely can't even count how many times this has happened to me that I've brought up to somebody, I like the Minnesota Vikings. And the response is, Nicole, name one player on the Minnesota Vikings. If you are a man who has ever said this to a woman, please pick up your phone and text her right now and apologize. Apologize to her right now because that's the most ridiculous thing to say. But again, I've been able to turn it into something positive, which is really cool, but it's so unnecessary. I will not lie though, I am not above the feeling of satisfaction that I get when I can list off pretty well the entire damn roster of the Minnesota Vikings. I'll give them. Do you want me to list off defense, offense, special teams? Who do you want? And seeing their face fall, that's a good feeling. I'm not going to pretend like it's not, but still, I don't need to prove myself that I love a sports team just because you see me and you think that I can't love the team in a way that you do because I'm a woman. And this way of thinking is so archaic, number one. It's just so ridiculous. And it needs to stop. I don't know when it's going to stop. I'm not necessarily out here trying to make it stop. That's a whole nother thing. I would love for that to happen. But what my aim is with this podcast is to, have that dialogue, have people realize what it's like for women to have these sports Twitter accounts specifically and share their opinion and have it not be as valued or as respected because of their gender. That's strictly it. That's ridiculous. And I want there to be a conversation about that, but I also too just want women to be able to talk about the teams that they love without worrying about what people are going to say, what men are going to say in their replies on Twitter. We don't need that, and we're not going to have that here. And I'm excited. I can't wait. I think it's going to be so fun. I have some really great guests lined up. It's going to be a blast. I think it's funny too. Couple things to know. This is not even necessarily going to be a Minnesota Vikings podcast. And if you told me, Nicole, you're gonna make a podcast that's centered around sports and it's not gonna be about the Minnesota Vikings, I would be like, no, that's wrong. But you know what? It's not always going to be. A lot of the weeks it is, and I'm super excited for those weeks. I cannot wait to talk to really insightful and intelligent women about this team that drives me to the brink of insanity. I can't wait for that. But you know what? Some weeks it's going to be a Twins podcast, maybe. Some weeks it's going to maybe be a Vancouver Canucks podcast. This pains me a little bit to say, but you know what? Sometimes it might even be a Green Bay Packers podcast, which those episodes are going to be a little less frequent. But we'll see. I want those girlies on here too. I want to chat about the Packers. That kind of hurt to say a little bit, but I do. I really do. I want every single woman that I can have on here, chatting about the teams that they love, because I know how much I love to do that. So I want every single person, every single woman who wants that opportunity, I want to give it to them. So I'm excited. Another note to add is that I will do my very best to post these episodes on a weekly basis. However, I cannot promise that. I will not be out here promising that you will get a new podcast every week. It's just not going to happen. I really do think that this is going to be something that I'm going to enjoy doing. To be fair, I have no idea. I have no idea how to make a podcast. I have no idea. You know what? That's not true. I may hate this. I highly doubt that I will, because this is something that I'm so passionate about. Sports and empowering women and giving them safe spaces to do the things that they love to do. I'm really confident that I'm going to absolutely love doing this. The biggest thing that is against me, however, is my current schedule. Fortunately, I live in Europe now, and I travel a ton, which is just incredible, absolutely phenomenal. I love it. But when I'm not traveling, I'm working. So I just don't know that I can absolutely promise that this is going to be on a weekly thing. I would love to be that girl who'd be like, new episodes every Friday. I don't think we can get there. But maybe one day. We'll see. But yeah, you know what? This has been already so fun. Just sitting here chatting with you all. I can't wait really to see how this evolves. Anybody who's listening, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please do let me know what you think. I would love to hear your feedback, all of it. I want to know everything that you thought, any suggestions that you have, anything that you might want to hear. Please, please, please do let me know. Again, happy International Women's Day, specifically to the women in my life. You are phenomenal. Each and every single one of you, I love dearly. You are such a positive and uplifting light in my life. So thank you. And to all the women out here who love sports, keep loving sports and be unapologetic about it. And we're going to have a place where we're going to be loving our sports, and we're not going to be caring about what these men are saying about it, because guess what? They're not coming on the pod. This is girls only. Yeah, it's 6:00 now. I need to start packing. I'm going to Bulgaria tomorrow to go on a little ski trip, and then I actually plan to post this in a few days in Bulgaria, because I'm going to be in Bulgaria on Friday. I guess this is this is the point where I say bye. I don't even know. Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. And yeah, okay, bye.